Everybody, and welcome back to the next episode of Dialing In for Amplitube 5. Today I'm going to do something that is a little different for me. I mean, it's not that big a deal, but I don't know if anybody else is guilty of this. But in Amplitube, I always tend to gravitate towards sort of the more brand name amplifiers. You know, when they had a new Friedman model come in there, I went right to that, or say a Soldano or some of the Fender amps. But oftentimes I tend to lean towards ignoring some of their kind of original Amplitube amps, and I thought that needs to change. There could be some real hidden gems, and I really wasn't expecting this. But today we're going to look at the custom modern high gain amplifier, and I was really pleasantly surprised. Now, before we go on, I'm going to have the preset that I'm going to create in this video available as a free download on my website. Just go over there and you can grab it and add to it with whatever effects and models you want. But I will also have another preset there, which is the Modern High Gain Ultimate Preset Pack, which is an 8 preset pack that is going to have 4 presets that are going to include the X-Gear virtual pedals, and 4 that are going to not have those in there. So there's going to be a little something for everybody there. And later in the video, I'm going to have a demo of a little piece of music I created with these presets so you can hear kind of how they sound in the mix. So without further ado, let's dive over to Amplitube 5 and see what we have. All right, so here we are over in Amplitube 5, and here's this big purple beast. Again, really nice graphical user interface on this. So you'll notice something different on this one. I actually have a noise gate in here. This was getting pretty noisy because it's a little bit higher gain. Had things kind of cranked up on here. I decided to put that in just so we still have some silence even when I turn that guitar up. But let's start at the end of the chain. I am, as usual, using my little white 2A and EQ81, as I call it, mastering section at the end here for very light compression. I almost don't even count it as compression. It's just barely kissing the sound with maybe half a dB to a dB of gain reduction. I just like the glue it gives. Even on these heavy gainy sounds, I still like to put this in there. And then I also have the EQ81 EQ that I usually put at the end just to kind of get the sound exactly where I want to and kind of mix ready, whether we're playing live or in the studio. So on this one here, I have a shelf EQ at 100 Hertz and boosted by 2 dB. At 390 Hertz, I'm pulling out 2 dB in a bell curve, and nothing on this upper mids, but I do have a high shelf set at 3,300 Hertz, and I boost that 2 dB. And I also have my 100 Hertz low cut and my 12 kilohertz high cut. But we're going to turn that off for now. We're going to take a look and see what we have as far as mics go. I'm using this 412 closed modern cab that comes up as the default cab with this particular amp model. This is using the Brit 80 speaker, and I'm using some of my favorites here, a Ribbon 121 microphone and the Dynamic 421 mic. Let's see where these are. If you notice, I have it pretty much dead center right up on the grill, and exactly the same thing for the 121. Now, a lot of folks might say that's a really kind of potentially harsh tone to get out of a speaker when we mic it direct like that. But the fact that I'm blending in the R121 in with the Dynamic 421. And I also have the 421 at a 45-degree angle, which changes that tone slightly. But I found that this worked really well when balanced perfectly evenly. You'll see that I have them both at -8 dB. So a combination that I found worked really, really well. I also have the room mics, which are the condenser 87s, and I have those blended in just at around -30 dB. And that's the microphone and cab room settings I have, and I really like the way those sounded, and we'll come back to that in just a moment. So I have the Amplitube custom modern high gain. I have the gain on 10, as well as the volume on 10. I have the bass on 7, mid on 5, treble on 5.5, presence on 5.5, and what actually amounts to probably one of the worst sounding reverbs I've ever heard on 0. I really find this reverb unusable on this amp, so I just turned it right off. A lot of times it's nice to have that reverb on the amp. We can kind of get away without having to add too much of the room sound in maybe, or even an external reverb. But in this case, we're out of luck. We had to turn it down. So let's just hear what this sounds like with these settings without that little mastering section at the end. All right, I don't think that's a great tone. I don't mind what the overdrive characteristics are there. Let's listen to the mic separately. Here's what the R121 mic sounds like right up, like I said, sort of center right up against the grill. If we go to the dynamic 421. And when we mix them together, that's what we end up with. A very different sound when we have them combined. And then if I take that room out, just adds a little bit of life to it and not such a dry, direct signal. Now let's come over to my mastering section here. I'm going to turn that on. I'm going to turn the EQ off. We'll see how much gain reduction we're getting on our compressor and what this is adding to the sound. Now, the EQ is really going to make a difference here. Let's bring that in. So again, if I turn this mastering section off, we have this. All right, so there you have the sound of this little free preset that I put together, but how would something like this sound in the mix? Well, in this next little demo video I'm going to play for you right now, you're going to hear how this preset combined with some of the other presets from my Modern High Gain Ultimate presets, which is available at my website now as we speak at the link below in the description. You'll also be able to get this free preset at a different link. You can hear how these work together in this mix. All right, so there you have it. What did you guys think? I thought they worked really nicely. It was a lot of fun using them. I was actually very impressed with this amp. Some things like the reverb, I really wasn't too crazy about on this. That's why I didn't hear it in this video and I kept it turned right down, but that's okay. You don't have to use it, but I was very impressed with the way that this amp sounded. A little bit of tweaking, and I think it worked really nice. So go grab those presets if you liked what you heard. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed that. Please like the video, share it with anybody who you think would get some some use out of watching it. Also, please subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell notification to get notified when I put new content out. I'll be back really soon with some more. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in. Ciao for now.